Hello YouTube, this is Depassion, also known as Mikkel, and welcome to the first episode of No More Levels, the series where I will be bringing Travis through previous Death Ball stages, picking up any spare skill chips, and just gaining more experience because this is the only thing that Travis can really work on as a side quest thing. And yeah, he's gonna need it. Because there's a DLC Death Ball that is hard as hell. So I'm just gonna just have Travis running through a bit of Electric Thunder Tiger 2. Just gain a bit more experience. And in this episode I'll be talking about what I've been doing in my spare time during this pandemic. Essentially, I've thoroughly put my time into different streaming services. And I've been catching up on old shows that I really enjoyed when I was younger. And also put my time into new shows that have really caught my interest. And I'm going to start with WandaVision. And how... I'm not going to say I called it or some shit, but it's getting kind of close to that. It's getting kind of close to oh, it was either going to be this or this. Because... way back when it came to Avengers, Infinity War, and then Endgame, I guessed one or two things will happen. Because, well, from Thanos, from what Thanos got up to at the end of Infinity War, I thought to myself one or two things are going to happen. Either something to do with the Infinity Stones, brings forth the sort of multiverse. Just into the series, proper, into the MCU properly, or Wanda's gonna do it. Because I found it so strange that Wanda was so depowered in comparison to how she is in the comics. Now, I know I completely understand this. Very hard to write around a character that can warp reality and shit like that. But I found it strange that it's to such a degree. At least at first, it seemed like she was super depowered, but in Age of Ultron, when she was literally convincing a shitload of people to evacuate, with her weird telepathy powers, I was like, okay, alright, she's on her way. And then in Civil War, she just squished an explosion and threw it upwards. That's pretty fucking impressive. But yeah, she's become more and more powerful. And yeah, in WandaVision, I was talking to one of my co-workers and I pretty much friggin' called it. As of episode 4 or episode 5, what's going on? Because Wanda was going to be at the center of it. It's just with the magic of comics, it's just how it's going to be. And how they refer to how they use the reference material and shape it into essentially a televised series. And it's actually bloody good. And I really hope we get the character Spectrum, because so friggin' cool, super underrated. Soon as I even heard about her, I looked her up once again, because I had before just idly browsing through YouTube videos. I'm like, oh shit, this is quite a fucking badass. Oh boy. And when that was speculated that she could somehow turn up in WandaVision somehow, I was like, okay, I'm hyped. But yeah, WandaVision is quite an amazing show. It's one of the few shows I've actually kept up to speed with as it's been released. As a few of my friends know, I just avoid up-and-coming shows until I can either binge a shitload of it, or I aim to binge a shitload of it and I just genuinely forget and catch up with it later. But yeah, so just having Disney Plus in general has been a fantastic time. I managed to get my girlfriend all caught up with all the MCU films. It's just, I honestly forgot about Black Widow, and that's going to be released at some point in the middle of 2021 instead. And it was going to be released in November, so I don't know, I guess different legal things or whatever, then it'll just get released on Disney Plus at some point. Then just wait it out, and then you can just watch it on the service rather than have to pay for it when you already pay for the service. Because that Mulan fiasco. Well, not really a fiasco, but yeah, that's kind of funny. People are just getting mad as shit I would have been mad as shit too. I just didn't have Disney Plus at the time, I believe, so that's good. No, I did have it. I just wasn't interested in Mulan. But yeah, so that's pretty great. That's pretty great to have Disney Plus, watch WandaVision. It's all kinds of intriguing and funny, and yeah, it just hits so many different. It just reaches out to so many different genres and uses so many different genre conventions. That's so fucking interesting. Really is strange. And I'm hoping it was a lot of fun to get it recorded and that. Like, I hope the actors enjoyed themselves because I enjoyed watching it. And what's the next thing? Crunchyroll, because I'm staying up to speed on Attack on Titan. And what me and my girlfriend, actually what mainly my girlfriend's been doing, she's been buying the manga for, like, up to the point of which, like, how far the episodes go, and then checking out what differences and comparing them. And yeah, she's kept a very keen eye on some of the different changes, because it was announced, I think it was season 2 or something like that, that stuff would be reordered, would be moved around a bit for pretty much the sake of like an anime's pacing, just so it smooths out nicely enough. And yeah, it keeps happening, and it's really, really interesting to see like what, like if you watch the manga, if you read the manga, like like how it's all queued up, and how it would honestly hurt the pacing if it was in the anime, like just queued up in the same order. Like there's discussions that end up being dragged over and shoved into flashbacks instead, so it's more relevant. So it's more relevant to the event that it's sort of threaded to or hinting towards, and it's honestly fantastic. My favorite thing is literally the Armored Titan. The Armored Titan's design just kept changing. It changed a fair bit in the manga, and then it keeps changing in the anime. It just honestly keeps changing. There's all subtle different things with how its like armor is put together. It's the easiest thing to point out. Just how it chops and changes depending like where in the timeline it is, or hell, it can be within the same, essentially the same like few months, and somehow it looks a bit different. So it's quite weird. But I'm not talking about the season 4 like very different like state of it. Like no, like I'm talking about its basic design. Somehow it kept changing, and I like it for that. I like the Armored Titan a bit more like aesthetically because of that. We're gonna get some essentially alternate versions, perhaps because of art design choice, not an in-universe reason as far as I'm aware, which is pretty cool. I like that sort of thing. And oh yeah, when it comes to like a studio change, when it comes to an anime, like obviously the most recent one we got is One Punch Man, and how it can not really work out all the best. That's only from what I've heard, but I'm still going to watch season 2 of One Punch Man at some point. I just oh man, it's just from all the different shows I've been watching, I'm just like, oh boy, can I really make the time for like all these amazing shows, when I keep returning to more fun and simple animes. Like, again, I'm going to mention it, is School Rumble. School Rumble is just a dizzy, hilarious rom-com, and it's bloody hilarious. It's endearing. I think it made me cry at one point. I'm not sure which episode, but but no matter what, I'm always rooting for Harima. Harima is just honestly one of my favorite characters in anime history. He's not all that powerful or super heroic or that sort of shit. He feels like the most real person. Like, he does get sad sometimes. He gets super happy sometimes. He chills the hell out. He gets obsessed with things. He struggles with how to deal with his feelings of love and his feelings of anger as well. And he steadies out and grows more as a person. He has the most character growth, I think, because Tenma kind of stays the same in a roundabout way, but that's not a bad thing, because a character staying like in a roundabout way the same and not really changing much, like Back to the Future. Marty McFly barely changed as a person. He just experienced some weird shit and then went home. Like, but that's not a bad thing really. But returning to simpler shows like that, like even man, there's just so many animes I can like just quote off the top of my head. But that list will just go on forever. But just shows that just like it was from a simpler time. I was younger, and it brings back those memories, but like it's obviously not the same. But that's not a bad thing. Like it's good to just go down memory lane and watch another anime for like the billionth time. Find new little things in the background and that sort of thing because, well, it's lovely, it's fun. And despite this pandemic, I've still made new memories. And I'll talk about those next time in the next No More Levels episode, I think. But I hope everyone's taking good care of themselves and doing the best you can for yourself because it's a weird world now, so we really got to do our best to focus on ourselves much better. I definitely need to because I've gained a bit of weight. So I'll do what I can to change that in the up and coming months. But until then, this has been The Passion. See you on the next journey. Take care.